Hey guys!
Hi!
You're listening to Not As We Planned, so get ready for honest, raw, unfiltered, unhinged story, where we share our advice, opinions, and talk about all the shit that people avoid discussing. We want to point out we are not qualified professionals, although I feel like I am one, and what we say is the advice we would give to our besties.
Happy New Year!
It's January, baby, 2026.
2026. It's a new year. It's a new start. Welcome back to Not As We Planned, guys. We're excited for another year with you. And we have brought someone on today who we think is going to be really helpful for this time of year. So it's no secret that this time of year can be incredibly hard for people. It's very deflating sometimes after the festive period. A lot of people hold on to their relationships over Christmas, and there's a reason why. I think it's, what date is it?
Well, I think Divorce Day tends to be the first Monday after the New Year. So we thought that bringing on this guest, I mean, I think I can speak for both of us. This is a really personal one. The person that is coming on has been my therapist for over 6 years. She has helped me through my divorce, through a breakup, through navigating a lot of chapters in my life. And she has also...
Yeah, she helped me navigate my breakup at the start of the year, and she's the reason that I'm this strong, independent, sassy woman now.
So we thought it was just time to bring her on. So we have Shelley J. Whitehead with us today. Not only is she a relationship coach, but she's also an author. We've actually got her book sitting on our table right now, Healing Your Heartbreak. So this is something that we have both read. Carly worked through. Well,
that's how I got through
last year.
Yeah, a year ago. Wow.
And yeah, we thought we'd bring her on because
she's going to change your life. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So we are so excited to welcome Shelley J. Whitehead. Thank you so much. Woo!
It's great to be here with both of you.
Yeah, so nice finally in person. I don't know if any OGs out there, we actually did. Yeah, our first.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
that was a throwback.
It was on Zoom when we had you. It must have been like
over 2 years ago.
Yeah, over 2 years ago. So for anyone that doesn't know you, can you give us a little intro about what you do and why you're here today?
I'm here to change the world of relationships. One couple at a time, one heartbreak at a time, and to teach people the essential skills that are within themselves, but these are the skills we didn't learn growing up. So we can approach the world of relationships, and this is across the board, family relationships, friendships, intimate relationships, situations in the workplace, because everything's a relationship. But if we don't have skills and we don't know who we are, we're going to struggle, and that's what I teach.
I mean, I know that I can probably speak for both of us. we have both personally used you within our life. I mean, I don't even know how many years now I've been seeing you, like at least over 6. It must be like, I don't
kind of go with the ages of the children, and then we can work that out.
That's a good. Was it before the kids? No, it wasn't. So it was probably.
We had babies.
Yeah, we had babies.
And for me, it was very much the heartbreak I went through at the start of the year. Shelley basically navigated me through it. So for those of you who thought like I was weird and dealt with it really quickly, it's down to Shelley.
So in other words, anyone going through a heartbreak, this is your woman. Like, you know, I've raved about her a lot on my social media. Like, really, just going through divorce, breakup, new relationship. I feel like every sort of stage of my life you sort of carried me along, so it just felt right to have you on the podcast. And obviously, guys, this episode is coming out the week where unfortunately a lot of breakups and divorces are sort of falling apart. They call it like divorce week, don't they? It's
Blue
like
Monday, isn't it, as well?
The first Monday in Jan.
People have held on through Christmas. A lot of people are like planning to leave after Christmas. It's a thing.
It's already happening. December, January is what I call heartbreak season, because people have gone through a year. Yeah, they've gone through a year together. Some people don't want to start that new year off with the person they don't want to be with anymore. And you'll remember me saying, nobody wakes up, I would have chosen any day, so let's say on a Saturday morning, and says, I'm ending my relationship today. There's been a whole lot of unhappy and thinking and unhappy and thinking that's gone on before that time. And then we get to this time of year, which is such a difficult time of year. And then January, a new year. And we're without our person, or we've left that person.
Do you think that it's quite normal for women to go through that process in their head of like getting used to the idea of potentially leaving a relationship? But with men, we've always said, I feel like it's very rare for men to leave a relationship without a backup plan.
No, I think it's the same for both. Remember, I work with both men and women, and I work with couples, and I work with individuals all over the world, and it's no different.
Really?
We just make that up.
It sounds good, doesn't it?
Sounds fantastic. I'm in.
Yeah, men come to me because they are struggling to be where they are, and so do women. And sometimes people do have a backup plan, or sometimes they're in conversation with someone else. Not the right way to start a relationship, because you want a really firm foundation that's built on trust.
Yeah.
But I don't see the differences between men and women, because everybody has those emotional needs, wants to be connected, feels disconnected, feels their needs are not met, or has had enough.
We want to go through the questions.
Yeah. I'm going to start with the first one. Okay, so it is, what advice would you give for someone going into dating after heartbreak? It's something I've obviously tried to experience this year. Unsuccessfully.
I would say it's
No, it's not. No. I'm actually like in such a content place. So that's a success, right?
Remember, we learn something from every single relationship.
Yeah, 100%.
If we do the work to reflect back on who we were, who they were, and what worked and what didn't, we are at risk of making the same mistakes. If we don't dive deeper into ourselves, to firstly understand, who am I without you? What do I really want? What are those values and standards that make sense to me in my life? What are my non-negotiables? So many people go back into dating and get caught up in chemistry. And chemistry is not a relationship. About 18 months after dating someone, that chemistry is dissipated. The intense chemistry, the cocktail of chemicals released in our bloodstream, the oxytocin, the dopamine, phenylethylamine. Oh my gosh, that's the one that, you see a red car, you think of him. A leaf falls from a tree, you hear a song. Everything is about them. Is that chemical not so high? And then we're dealing with the reality of what irritates us, or the not perfect. We're always on the same page in the beginning. They are our person. And then things change. And we get into conflict. And most people don't know how to navigate conflict, how to repair and reconnect. So, to answer that question directly, make sure you've got those fundamentals in your foundation. Read everything you possibly can about relationships from the world's experts, and there are a number of them. There's also a lot of rubbish out there, reconstituted, rehashed advice that doesn't make sense.
I suppose a lot of it as well, you see conflicting advice all over social media as well, and I think it's really easy when, I know for me, like, you're going back into dating something, your algorithm is just throwing out all these different pieces of dating advice. You're thinking this, and it's like, you're thinking it's telling you one thing, and then something else is telling you something else. It's a red flag, and it's difficult going back in.
Yeah, I love all the advice that everybody's ADHD, everybody's a narcissist, and it's not the case. And everything is a red flag.
True.
And it's not.
What would you say are the most common things that you maybe see that people maybe fall for that aren't actually true when it comes to dating? Or is it that, you see one red flag and you must leave immediately, or...
Yeah, that's some of the advice. the definition of narcissism, and there are some great experts, like Dr. Ramani is one of them. A lot of people are emotionally immature and they don't have those skills. They don't know how to do relationships. And we meet them and they're really lovely individuals. But the key criteria is, are they competent? Are they willing to do the work? I'm always looking for someone's competency. So question number 1, identifying your own competency in a relationship and this person that you're sitting in front of. Number 2, are they consistent? Consistency is key. Number 3, are they congruent? I was speaking to somebody yesterday about his words, and he says, and believe me, it's also she says, I said, can we just stop listening to words? What are those actions, the follow through? Does someone have the follow through? And considerate. Are they considerate of circumstances and feelings? What you're going through? Are you considerate? Those 4 C's I've just mentioned are the bedrock, the foundation of trust. We've got to be what we're looking for.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and we're not going to be perfect. We're going to get it wrong, and so are they. But if they are competent within themselves at doing the work, you've got the foundation for a relationship. If someone isn't, and you've got to be the one who has to change, or you're looking at them and they have to change, you cannot change anyone.
Yeah, I agree.
No, that is interesting. Like, literally, I would just listen to you talk for it. I'm not just like, yeah, let's make a note of that. Okay, another question. What is the biggest cause of breakups? Now, obviously, a lot of the emails that we get are
infidelity,
and it's always like work colleagues, like the cheating. Predominantly men, because I'd say about 90% of our listeners are female. So that we're getting a lot of we're getting a lot of emails in. Majority, it's infidelity. What would you say, in your experience, is the most common cause of a breakdown of a relationship?
I'm thinking of the relationships and the couples I've been working with. Most of them are in a great place because they're prepared to do the work. Here's also the other thing. Relationships can come back from infidelity. And
that was another question that we had.
They can come back from infidelity. And I'm going to focus on the question now. Biggest causes: lack of respect, contempt showing up in the space, that constant criticism and defensiveness, and a complete unwillingness to see and hear someone else's point of view.
Yeah.
So it shows that individual who's showing up in that way consistently, or both people, aren't really very competent at doing a relationship. They don't have the skills. They haven't learned how to do a relationship. We qualify. There's so much information out there on how to be a parent these days. How to do your job properly. You train, you retrain, you're being updated. Who on earth thought that, we could just go into a relationship and be successful? My parents. And they weren't. They stayed together and made everybody's lives miserable. So many of us come from situations like that. And it's, copy, paste, repeat.
Yeah.
There are many causes for relationship breakdown. If infidelity is one of the reasons, something else started way before that. Disconnection happens. And it's one of the biggest forms of disrespect. And I'm not judging at all. And there are reasons it happens. To ourselves as well. To not be congruent, where we can't be authentic, where we can't look someone in the eye and say, I don't want to be with you anymore. What we had doesn't exist. I need to leave this relationship. How do we do that? And then, of course, the response we get from the other side might be threatening. Might put someone into a state of fear.
I think we get a lot of listeners who are scared of leaving.
Yeah.
Scared of what
it's
might
the unknown,
happen,
isn't it? Or
scared of financial implications, scared of how someone might react, and a lot of people just end up staying in unhappy marriages.
They do. It's been done for generations. Generations and generations. But something's different now. I just want to go back to that word finances. This generation has something that women before didn't have. And this is in the Western world. I work in other countries where it is slightly different. And you have autonomy. You have the power to negotiate in a relationship. Women didn't have this before. The way things were done, she stayed home, she had babies, she relied on him financially. That fell apart and she was literally left holding the baby. So when someone sits in front of me and she says, I want to be supported, I want to be taken care of, and I ask her, what does that look like? And it's like, I want the financial situation to be resolved. He can handle that, and I really want to be taken care of, which is wonderful, but it doesn't work anymore. It's part of an old system. We negotiate our physical connection, our emotional connection, our social connection, our financial connection in a relationship. And we create an energy as a couple. And we don't do it the way it used to be. We have autonomy. And if we don't, we must work towards it. I still work with women who feel very trapped in situations. And there's a lot of control around finances, and it doesn't have to be that way. There's a lot more going on in this space, because control is not just in one area, it'll be happening in another area. But it's about not giving up our power and our ability to negotiate these situations and using that voice.
That's one
Does
thing
that make sense?
That's something I learned from you, is taking back my power. Like, I always think that in situations now where I sometimes feel a bit out of control, I like literally say it out loud. I'm like, Carly, you need to take your power back. And that's really helped me.
Yeah, I think that probably like falls into some of the questions we got about co-parenting.
And like setting boundaries and holding those.
Yeah.
How do you start to heal from someone that you have to co-parent with who caused you pain?
Okay. These are two different situations. Co-parenting is a new arrangement. The old arrangement where things went wrong and it was incredibly painful is what we work on and within ourselves. The co-parenting situation is what we negotiate. Healing is an inside job. And remembering we can't force anyone else to change or to see things our way.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's impossible to navigate that with an ex. Because that's it. They're dead set on seeing it this way. They aren't open to the healing of the ending and then to set up a new arrangement. But we've got to make sure we don't take this stuff into that arrangement.
Yeah. And it's hard.
That's our inner work. When it comes to power, here's what I say to myself. So if fear lands in that space and whatever it is that I need to navigate, negotiate, and sort out, the one thing I come back into is that affirmation of, I'm more powerful than this. And having the clarity of what's old, what's mine, what's theirs, what did we co-create? Because we're always co-creating. That's why my book that sits here on the table, Healing Your Heartbreak, has a whole process where we go through step by step, looking at what we created in ourselves and in the arrangement. And we get clarity on that because it gives us a lot of answers about who we are, what we want to change. I remember sitting with someone years ago who had an opportunity for the relationship to come back together. And I used to see her 3 times a week. She was in such pain because he'd left. And I didn't have time to work with them as a couple, so I referred them to a colleague of mine. And something shifted in that space because it's beautiful work that's done. You've done this before, Tash. And when their relationship was coming back together, we looked at the things that she was never going to do again. That new level of awareness changes everything. And it was like, we're never doing this again because we look at how we show up. So getting over everything is looking at how we show up, how they showed up, what we like about ourselves, what we're proud of, how we handle it and what we want to change. And then you negotiate as best you can with the co-parenting arrangement. And boundaries are not barriers. Boundaries never make anyone else change. Boundaries you know how I describe boundaries as gardens. There's your garden and there's my garden. And the garden we cultivate together. So in my garden, there's certain things that I want in my garden. And I have lovely fences that define my garden. I don't go and hop into your garden and come and tell you what to plant and how to plant them. And I certainly don't come take the weeds out of your garden. And I would not appreciate it if you come and put red tulips in my garden. I don't want that. But then there's something that we're cultivating together. It's boundaried as well. And we put that into that space. So that's the co-parenting garden. And you can only negotiate what the other person is prepared to put in.
Yeah.
But you've got to be very defined about yours. Because if you don't know what you want in your garden and what it looks like, you're not ready to go into a new relationship.
Yeah. Just taking it all in. I feel like with boundaries, you know, we get a lot of emails with people sort of saying like, you know, my co-parenting relationship is really bad, like he won't do this, or he wants the kids then, or even like that person that emailed in where he started undressing on camera on Zoom, and she actually really held her own. Or people coming
into the other person's property or whatever it is. It's just like,
it is really setting that boundary and understanding that if they cross it, how to manage it. I actually had someone message me the other day. What did she say? She sent me a screenshot and she was like, how am I meant to form boundaries with my ex because he's not listening? And I think he had messaged her, say it like almost like with a nickname that maybe he used to call her, and she replied being like, I've told you before, I don't want you to call me that, that's my boundary and you're not listening. And then he replied really rudely being like, oh, I'll call you this instead a rude word. She was like, how am I meant to set boundaries with this person because he's not listening? And I replied to her saying, you've told him your boundary and he's ignoring it, so ignore him. Like, don't converse with him until he respects your boundary. So I think sometimes it is like we said about power and taking the control back. You can't control what someone else is doing, but as long as you know what your boundary is, stay firm within that, and then if they cross it, you remove yourself from the situation.
It's as simple as that. There has to be very clear communication beforehand. You know, it's just say his name is Tony. Say, Tony used to call me that when we're in a relationship. It doesn't belong in this co-created space. I will respond to you. Please use my name. Don't use these terms of endearment or, you know, names you used to call me.
or any new made up horrible names.
If you do, I won't respond to your message until you do.
Yeah. God, like, co-parenting is not for the
faint-hearted.
That's the word I was looking for.
It's for the brave.
Yeah, literally.
You mentioned before that couples can come back from infidelity.
They can.
I'd love to hear more about this.
I've worked with couples where there has been infidelity, and the questions we ask aren't necessarily the healthiest questions.
Difficult.
So it's to take that into a healthier space to help them to navigate what has happened and what was happening before for that person that led them into that space. You know, how did you feel about me when you were in that space with someone else? Why did it happen is not necessarily the right question, but how did it happen? What will stop this from happening again? The parts that we play, the roles we have as partners, what was missing? Was there something missing? Or is it that this person lost their sense of aliveness? Had they gone through a bereavement? Strangest things happen after bereavement. Or the loss of a child. Children getting married, life changes, job changes can be the reasons why someone looks elsewhere, connects elsewhere. So people who have affairs, and it's not always about sex, it's about something inside themselves that's missing and the reason why they look for connection elsewhere. Helping a couple navigate something as tricky as that requires a willingness to stay committed to your relationship. And there's some relationships that have a lot of history where people don't want to leave, but they're not sure how to move forward.
So have you had quite a lot of couples who have come back from it? And
Yes.
interesting.
And would you say that, like, and it may just be case by case, but where the affair has come out because they've been honest about it or they've got caught, has that ever had an impact on whether the repair actually works? Because I feel like sometimes maybe it's different if the person that's had the affair has come forward rather than getting caught, because it's a bit like, well, if I never caught you, how would I have ever known?
It works both ways.
Do you think it takes up to be a particular person to
Let go.
want to do that? Like, want to move on from it? Say you were the person who had been cheated on. Do you think, in your experience, does it take a particular kind of person, or do you think everyone's got it in them?
We're capable of anything, and we don't know until we're in that situation. So
I remember I used to say, and I know this might be quite a controversial comment.
Here she goes.
I do genuinely believe that you can't really trust anyone 100%. But I also used to say, I don't think you can even trust yourself 100%.
spot on.
Oh, yay me. I win. A star.
Different circumstances, different situations, different feelings, different life events will take us to the edge of the unknown. And we won't know until we're there. You know, I've surprised myself many times over the years.
With murder.
5 murders.
Murder's not one of them. And yet, you know, truly, truly knowing ourselves is only possible when we're standing on the edge of something new. And only then will we truly know how we will show up or react. So there's a level of trust. You know, those 4 C's, the competency and the congruency and the consistency and the consideration. But if someone else, you know, is on the abyss of something new or a challenge, we don't know. That's why keeping connection in a relationship takes a lot of practice. It's a skill. Learning how to come back from a rupture is a skill. Keeping criticism and defensiveness and blame, contempt out of a space is vital. And it happens. I mean, I talk about, you know, some of my relationship challenges and struggles as well. Those come into my practice. And it's as real as it gets because these stories are teachers. I love my husband. I'm in a great relationship. It doesn't mean that we don't go through challenges.
It almost makes you like, well, I know that I think this anyway. I think that the more I heal and the more work I do, it almost makes you think, how does anyone end up having a successful relationship? Because how many people are actually actively, properly doing the work and learning all these things to deal with conflict? And
I think this is the challenge with going back into dating. And I think that's certainly what I've noticed and has perhaps stopped me from continuing with people is, I don't know if just because like I feel like I hold myself really accountable and consistently doing the work. I always want to get better. I'm always trying to like look back at, you know, who I've been on dates with and try and take away something from that. But I'm really finding like, this sounds like really like, I don't know, not humble at all, but I think because I'm so aware that I'm doing the work, I just find it really unattractive when someone's like I've had situations where it's like, I'm so sure of myself, like I know what I bring, I'm great in a relationship, but no willingness to improve or do better or to hear or listen. Look, I can only speak from my experience, but I feel like it's more women I know who are wanting to do the work. And I guess linking it to what you said about infidelity, I guess to come back from infidelity, you need both parties
100%.
to want that and to be dedicated to putting in the work. And I think that's probably the hardest part to find after infidelity, is both of you wanting to do the work.
My husband said to me many years ago, you know, you're a challenge being in a relationship with, of course, because I'm always growing something within myself or new sprouts or whatever it might be. And it's about being patient and not pushing someone towards growth. But you can see if someone has the potential and a willingness to learn something different.
Yeah.
And resistance might show up in the space, and then reflection, and then a willingness. My husband's an architect. He works with plans, but he doesn't like to plan. Planning is essential in a relationship. Who does the planning? Who does this? The big thing here is looking at somebody's qualities and having gratitude for what they do bring to a space, and discerning when you're dating whether they are willing to learn something new when things get tricky. And it's about a year to 18 months when you get to see this. Are they willing to do that work? Are they willing to implement changes?
Sometimes I feel like it's that fine line between, like at the beginning of a relationship, I feel like it's that fine line between them being really nice and love bombing, and then when you get further into the relationship, it's that fine line between, do you give people the benefit of the doubt because no one's perfect and you're going through a hard time, or actually this just isn't working? I feel like those 2 points in relationships I think are really common for people to struggle with. So because we had a question about, like, how can you tell at the beginning of a relationship if someone is actually just genuinely like really lovely, like showing up really well, doing all these lovely things, or you're being love bombed? And then I guess the flip side of that is, the flip side of that is the person receiving all of that. Are you being self-sabotaging and really avoidant, walls up? Or
this is like my challenge in life.
Yeah, it's like, or are you really vigilant and looking for the red flags, or do you like need to kind of enjoy it?
Yeah, are you going to find a red flag in everyone?
If you look hard enough,
you'll find
you will.
Yeah, no one's perfect.
Okay, and yourself. So. Love bombing. I hate that word. Everybody shows up as the best version of themselves for those 3-4 months. And then parts of ourselves also start to show up. So the best version also has other parts to it. And it becomes a little trickier. But if in the very beginning it's deceptive, it's dishonest, it's, all those disses, or an ism, an addiction of some sort, we must take note. Because that's not your lifestyle, those aren't your values. How can you tell you can't? That's why you use that skill. It's one of the skills I teach. It's the one in my new book, discernment. Discernment is about identifying patterns. It's about a really great ability to judge, not be judgmental, to judge something. And to really see and hear. Because sometimes there's this relentless hope that comes into a space, or you're in a relationship, you don't want to leave because there's relentless hope. And you're wanting something to be what it's not. I'm going to go into what you've just raised there, Tash. Is it a hard time? Relationships are cyclical and seasonal. There's the winter of the relationship where you meet someone, it's like a little bulb in the ground. It's not going to suddenly start blooming because it's snowing. So, is this safe? Can I trust this person? Are they considerate? Are they kind? And while they have those elements, there might also be an impatience, a little bit more controlling. But can we navigate this with them? It takes time to discern that. And then we get into the spring of the relationship. Things start sprouting and become a little bit more adventurous. And then the summer where it's more playful. And then that autumn where we're letting go of things. And we're composting. In the 10 years I've been with my husband, I think I've had about 3 husbands, 3 versions of him. He's probably had about 5 versions of me. Things I've needed to compost and let go of. Things I've needed to implement and show up differently. Because you learn things about a person, how they communicate, how they navigate certain situations. And we have life changes within that, in the seasons of being together. Babies are born, parents die, God forbid, but all that kind of thing. We get a new puppy, someone is made redundant, health scares. And this is happening across the board, from 20s right up to people in their 80s.
Yeah. I think it's sometimes, for me, hard to work out. Like, do you believe that a lot of couples have the capability of working through things, but people just give up too quickly now?
There is a lot of giving up too quickly and not finding the help that really makes the difference.
Because I sometimes do think like, oh, it's really sad if there are two people that, you know, end a relationship because of X, Y, Z, and then what they'll probably find is they both then find different partners, and then those problems come up again in 4 years' time, and they could have just resolved it with the person that they were with before. But then again, I'm probably contradicting myself. Sometimes I then think, actually, were those problems ever going to get resolved because one person maybe wasn't willing? And it's finding that, like...
It's the same problems. I feel like you're not doing the work on...
I know, but I guess you've got to do the work together. Yeah. So then it's like hard to know whether you're meant to stay in something and fight for it, or they're not right, and then you need, like, maybe it's better to be single.
It's interesting. I'm working with a new couple, you know, I do that 3-day process.
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday next week. And I was explaining to him how it is so transformational. It's life-changing because you're getting to see and hear one another with all the underneath and background stuff. And he said to me, because I've been bereaved, I've been dumped, I've been divorced. I have left a significant relationship as well, which was very painful. He said to me, so if you'd had this in your previous 2 relationships, would they have worked? And I said, no. Because I chose people before who didn't want to do that work. Mm-hmm. That's why I've specifically chosen someone different. So when you talk about, could we have resolved it back then? You were also a different person back then. The way you were showing up was different. Was it from fear? Did you have enough self-worth, self-love? Mm-hmm. Had you really grown your own garden? Mm-hmm. Or did you then go and choose, based on that chemistry, the same kind of person who lacks what it takes to really move successfully into a future?
And I guess that's why we say all the time how important it is to not rush into something, to do the work, because the patterns repeat. I know we've had a lot of people emailing in sort of saying, my first person cheated on me, then the second person also cheated on me. And it's like you are probably eventually needing to look within and see what are you attracting or what are you looking for in a person.
Like what behaviour.
Carly just said something there. What are you accepting within yourself? And are you a people pleaser? Are you putting up with other behavior where you don't feel respected, where you're not standing up for yourself, where you aren't clearly defined about what is acceptable?
I think a lot of that has to do with your self-worth as well. And I think like that's something I definitely noticed this year is I think a lot of things I used to accept was actually due to a lack of self-worth. And I think definitely working on that has changed that completely.
That's when we're in fear. I was with an old school friend some time back, and we go back a long way. And this friend was saying to me how they'd been cheated on in all those early relationships and in the marriage. And we looked at it. And this friend is a rescuer. This friend was showing up people-pleasing. When we do that, we're not in our power. We aren't authentic within ourselves. There's a pattern we're playing out where we are not clearly defined. And unconsciously, stuff is going to come into that space, and then consciously, because there's something we need to learn from that.
I feel like I used to be a real fixer. I used to, it's almost like I maybe subconsciously liked a project to think like I can make him better. Not that I thought that I was, you know, the person that was gonna, that they're horrible but they're gonna change for me. But I think I liked to think like, I like helping people, but I think I also brought that into the space with my relationship.
I had that in my last relationship. I think I felt like I know I'm a person who can give a lot of love, so I wanted them to experience a different kind of relationship to something they might have had before. Then it's not your job to fix people.
It's really, I think it's really interesting, like we've said it time and time again, that Carly and I really, on reflection, both our exes were so similar, which is quite weird because I feel like we've probably both been on a similar journey, both attracted the same type of man after our divorce. Because the person I was with, and I think I can speak for both of us with our exes, lovely guys, but very damaged and broken and needed guidance to almost be fixed, but neither had really the willingness.
Well, yeah, and also it wasn't our jobs to fix them.
Yeah.
And you can't force someone.
And I feel like we both outgrew them.
Yeah, I do agree.
So it's quite interesting.
Yeah, with needs consistently not being met.
Yeah.
Not feeling like we're a team, that someone's got our back. We can't have their back. We're not a priority. Not being appreciated, the respect not being in the space, erodes the love. I find this now particularly for women. Men will be more like the frog in boiling water. It's the only time I'm going to differentiate between the genders here. There's something that snaps in a woman where she goes, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done. And perhaps it's because he's been working and, being that provider, protector, he tends to put up with it a little bit more. And there are men who snap as well, but they tend to, when she says, I'm done, he didn't see it coming. And I know when relationships have ended as well, we also may not have seen it coming. But if someone is doing the work and wanting to grow and wanting more, they will say, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Being a rescuer, obviously there's a reason we do that. It's giving us something we feel we don't have. Because we're going out instead of going in. Identifying when we're giving that generosity, is there the reciprocity? Is it coming back? Seasonal, circular. We can't be giving and not getting back. And that's where we start to identify, are my needs also being met here? Am I important to you?
No, mine's interesting because I don't think I've actually ever spoken about this in the podcast before. It wasn't actually my decision to end my relationship.
Yeah, you've never said that.
I've never said it, so there you go, exclusive. But I, again, having gained the perspective I did, so gaining the space gave me the perspective to look back and realised my needs weren't being met in a lot of ways. So I think it can also work both ways. I don't think it necessarily has to be you who ends it for you to realise, like, it was after the reflection, feeling like, wow, like I think I've outgrown this person, and I'm quite grateful that he ended it with me, because I feel like I wouldn't have been pushed to do that growth, and I would have been in a relationship that I feel like would have come to an end at some point anyway. So I'm grateful that he had that strength to initiate that.
Kudos to him, because actually thinking about the person he was, rightly or wrongly, doesn't strike me as the type of person to have been able to do that.
I think that's why it took me by surprise. It absolutely, and obviously a lot of it, well, his reasons were obviously down to like logistical things, but I'm grateful that he gave me that opportunity to be able to, like, that's what forced me to do the work that I hadn't done from my marriage. So I don't ever have a bad word to say about the man. He was lovely, but we weren't right for each other. And I genuinely feel like we were meant to meet each other to allow us, whether or not he's gone away and done work, I don't know, and it's irrelevant, but I'm grateful for the journey he propelled me onto. And
I feel like I went through a similar situation, albeit me being the one that ended it. That breakup defined me more and allowed me to grow the way I needed to, rather than the work that I did after my divorce, because I just wasn't quite ready.
Sometimes you need that to push you to do it.
Well, like you said, every relationship is a lesson.
Oh, it's the best thing that's happened to me.
That book was the result of my worst heartbreak.
Can I also mention about the book, Shelley, what's it called again? Healing Your Heartbreak. I worked my way through that book. I did the audio version from my heartbreak. So I know we've spoken quite a lot between me and Tasha's version of No Contact and things.
Yes.
They're two very different versions.
We both did No Contact through Shelley, but I ignored.
Tash, you didn't ignore, you struggled.
I was one of Shelley's star students.
Do you know what's really funny? I actually think I remember once, like, obviously I went through my breakup before you did, and I think I remember Shelley being like, you're doing so well, like, and then like you came along and I feel like you just completely shut all over.
I remember Shelley was like, most people are where you are after like 3 months and you're here after like 6 weeks.
Yes.
But honestly, like that book, like I just used to have the audio on, there's certain like exercises and stuff to do, and it's all really purposeful, and I genuinely, I don't know.
I think the most valuable part is the relationship inventory.
Yeah.
When you look back and those questions are so deep and reflective.
Yeah.
It's all about what's inside you.
I think it really helped me like de-romanticize the relationship,
fantasy.
because you can, in my head, I think I was like holding on to, and we speak about it a lot, like the future of what it could have been, and then when it clicked that all of that was a fantasy, it was never real.
No.
It was something I'd created in my head, and actually the inventory, it's there written out, and you're like, oh, okay, like actually this was what it was.
It's a reality.
It is a big like slap around the face, like
That
wake
first
up.
exercise, the 25 benefits of not being with someone, is so valuable because it's about the benefits to me.
I remember not feeling ready to do that, and you were like, when you're ready, you'll do it. And then I remember like voice noting you, like, guess what I did today.
I remember when I wrote that list about my ex-husband. Oh my God, I think I wrote about 70 benefits.
I had about 69 on mine.
That was really easy to do, that bit. I actually found it harder to write the positives about yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a lot of work, and that's where we dive deeper into self-worth. When I was going through this, most of my friends are coaches and in the world of personal development and therapists, and I didn't feel like I was ever going to be okay again. And what landed in that space, and it's important to know this, that anything unresolved, any grief or ending unresolved, lands in the space of a new ending. I work a lot with grief and death, and so I had all of that in my space. And Sue was my coach at the time, and she was a John DeMartini facilitator. John does amazing work, and that was one of the first exercises she gave me, along with the benefits of not being with them, and it was the advantages of being single.
I can list a lot right now.
And wow, I never imagined back then that I would get there, but when I did that deep work, Healing Your Heartbreak was born. And in the 20 years of working with individuals through all forms of loss, the process is the same as when someone dies, as when a relationship dies.
It's grief.
It's grief.
Isn't it?
100%. More questions?
Yeah.
How do I manage my anger? I'm so angry. He's been so cold and distant.
Are they in the relationship or have they left?
That's a very good question. I have no idea.
Okay, well, let's do it from two perspectives then. How do I manage my anger? He's so cold and distant. If you are in a relationship with someone who's really cold and distant, can that be bridged? What's happening underneath? What has been, have you had those discussions to find out why we're in this place? Anger is telling you that something's wrong. A boundary's been violated, a need is not being met. There's a deep longing that's coming up. I think it's in my new book I speak about, I woke up on my 49th birthday with incandescence. And it's telling us something. If we've left the relationship and he's cold and distant, it's because we're wanting possibly connection and they've departed from connection. You're wanting something from someone who cannot give it to you. I was with a girlfriend last night, and her marriage is ending. And what she's been wanting, her partner's unable to give her. Her husband's unable to give her. And it's been a long time. It's not been 3 months. It's been many years. And we had this discussion a long time ago as well about wanting someone else to change. We do that change. We either grow together or we grow apart.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I feel like I really relate to that with the breakdown of my marriage, because I was so desperate for him to be better, and until I accepted that he will be who he wants to be and I can't change that, then I started to do the healing. You're like so desperate for that closure or the apology, and the sooner you realise you're not going to get it and you just need to get it from yourself, then you can start actually doing the work.
Closure's within.
Yeah.
Because you can't get from someone else. There are some very highly evolved relationships with great levels of awareness where they decide to end their relationship. And I work with couples, as in that final goodbye, to look at what is sacred, what they created together, what wasn't working, and those wishes that they have, they grant one another and themselves. That's a high level of arrangement and awareness. most of the time, there's blame and criticism and defensiveness in that space. So we've got to be sure that we're not doing the blaming and the criticism. I will never sit here and criticize husband X. I'll tell you what I learned from that and what I'm grateful for. And the one thing I admire about him is his incredible discipline. So everything that we criticize is something we're not owning inside.
I had a question.
Yes.
So I think we talk about it a lot, and I want to go back to that no contact. And maybe you can explain to our listeners why in a breakup, how crucial that. Obviously, we have situations where people co-parent and that's not possible. But for those who are in the advantageous, that's the word, place where they can, maybe you can explain, because I like, for me, that was like, it just...
Torture.
No,
she was going to say it was profound once she did it.
The
torture for me.
That was that one. It really propelled my growth, and I think it really gave me that space to step back and gain perspective, and I almost like look at my relationship through completely different lenses.
Okay, repeat after me. I am an addict.
I am an addict. That was you, babe.
I felt like one.
Okay.
Yeah, you did.
So this is what happens to the brain. You're deficient in neurochemicals. You're lacking in oxytocin, that bonded feeling that you get from oxytocin. You're lacking in dopamine. All these chemicals of connection. So a person leaves your life, and so do these chemicals. They just disappear. Your body is going through withdrawal. Your brain is going through withdrawal.
Literally how I felt. Can I ask you really quickly?
Yeah.
Do you think it's worse for people with ADHD?
I'm not a medical person.
Just because I know
the
that
ability,
people with ADHD have less dopamine anyway and try and chase it more. So it's just interesting. I'll let that be the reason why I wasn't very good at it.
You know, Dr. Helen, Dr. Helen Fisher has done a lot of research on the brain in love and brain in breakups. And people literally lose their mind. You know, I felt like I was losing my mind.
You made me lose my mind.
Do you know what else I think the issue is I think you and your ex were very similar. You both went like, I mean, I'm sure you do, but I've never known anyone to do no contact and they never broke it once. And to me, I find that like mind-blowing. Whereas me and my ex were very similar. We were both so weak. Like he'd show up at my door and like I was...
But I think it's having watched you go through that, and when we had a very amicable split.
Yeah.
And when we said it, I said, I need you, like, 'cause he was like, when we split, he still loved me. And I said, if you love me as much as you say, like, I need you to stick to this no contact for me. And I genuinely believe he respected me enough.
We never said those things. I actually think we both almost drip fed each other into maybe we can come back from this.
I knew what I needed to do.
That was relentless hope.
Yeah.
And finding that strength within to really heal. Because if it's not working, it's really not working. Love is never enough.
No.
And so that's that point where things do end. There may be love, but it's not enough, or love is no more.
Yeah.
So whoever makes that decision first is the one who's pulling away from contact. Then the other one is left wanting connection. We're at two different points. The longer we stay in contact, and I had someone do this last year, and I said to him, you are on a path of wanting friendship with someone who doesn't want to be connected.
Yeah.
And it was very unpleasant for him. And he's in a new relationship, but he said he will never do that again. You delay your healing. It's never about the other person. It's only about you. But where's your focus? On them. And that's why the neurochemicals that we're deficient in, we have one little bit of contact and we feel better for 5 minutes. And then we're back into the no dopamine, no oxytocin.
Even the smallest thing of like seeing them view your story.
Yes. they're interested. Why?
Absolute high.
Whatever.
Literally like what I can imagine heroin to be like. Not that I've ever experienced it. But yeah, it's absolutely mental.
And that's why if you have to co-parent, there's no space for any emotion in any negotiation. It's a yes and no, a time, a place, a holiday, a detail, and you've got to really perhaps compromise, negotiate.
And it is a lot harder when you're seeing that person all the time. Like, sounds really selfish, but I was really grateful that I didn't have kids with this man, because I think as well, like my brain is quite sciencey. So in my head, I'm like, well, I'm not the only person in the world who's gone through heartbreak. This is what's going to work. So just follow the recipe.
That's it. To the T, and it works. There was someone, she had a child with him, you know, I run these groups as well, and she was in the group and she couldn't detach from the ex. There was that relentless hope in the space.
So dangerous, the hope.
Yeah. And then those 3 months of work that we did together, she sold her home, she bought a new home, everything shifted and changed. Because we give up the hope, we stop the fantasy, we focus on the reality, we do that relationship inventory, we create a new vision, because that part's often missing.
Yeah.
You know, the old vision doesn't work anymore. Those in the history, the memories we were thinking we were going to create in the future have gone up in smoke.
Yeah. I think my biggest issue was I didn't want to get over it. And I think a lot of people will probably be able to relate to that. It's like you don't like the idea of getting over them, because then you're actually accepting it. Like, I couldn't accept it for a really long time, so I held on to it.
That is part of grief. It's the bargaining.
Yeah.
But also, if you properly let go, there's the space of nothing. And in that space is this new creation. And then we started to create again.
We did. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, when I started to gain more self-worth, and look back and be like, oh, I don't want to be with someone who like doesn't want me.
Yes.
Like, and for me, I was just like,
it's also self-respect.
Yeah, I was just like, that my person wouldn't let me go. Like, so in my head, I was like, the universe showing me that's not your person. This is just a chapter. I don't know why I'm like this.
We always end our episodes with an affirmation of the week. So we wanted you to say something that is going to either motivate our listeners or just give them something that they can sort of take away from this episode. Wise words.
Okay, so we've discussed the gardens that we cultivate. A relationship is not your life. It's part of your life. Have a fully functioning life around your relationship. Cultivate and really have the most magnificent garden, because that's your everything. And if someone is no longer part of your life, or they're taken away from your life, you still have a life that works. You'll still have grief. You'll still go through that process. But you have something that's yours, and you are someone. You've got a lot to give to life and to others.
Love that. Thank you so much.
Thank
That
you.
was, I literally feel like, I didn't even feel like we were filming. I felt like we were just in a therapy session.
Classic.
Gonna go and cry. Thank you so much. That was amazing. Guys, if you don't already, go and follow Shelley on Instagram, TikTok. So it's Shelley J Whitehead. You can also get her book. We'll put a link on our story.
Yeah, and she also has a few different courses that you can sign up for. She does all different things. So you work with couples, you do heartbreak ones, am I right?
Heartbreak, I teach people skills. That's the other group course, or
Yes.
they can get those. There's a new book coming out next year, early next year. We are finalising editing and everything. I'm so excited about it.
So we'll share your link, and it will have all the workshops and everything that people can look.
They're there.
Amazing. Thank
Thanks,
you so
guys.
much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. See you next week.
Bye.